Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to cut through all that noise and really pull out the must-know facts from today's headlines. You know how it feels, right? Just scrolling. One minute it's celebrity gossip, the next some global incident, then a terrible tragedy. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, and you miss the threads connecting these things that seem totally separate. So today we're taking that on. We're doing a deep dive into a whole stack of recent events, everything from surprising celebrity news and a pretty shocking Secret Service report
Huh.
to devastating natural disasters and the always changing world of digital influence. Our mission, connect these dots for you so you leave feeling genuinely well informed.
That's exactly the plan.
Yeah.
We've gone through the articles, the research, our notes, trying to pull out the really important bits of knowledge and insight. We want to help you grasp that bigger picture, see beyond just the headlines, and maybe, just maybe, have a few aha moments where it all clicks together.
Okay, let's get into it. The first story that honestly, it really leaped out from our nights, and frankly, it just broke my heart, was the absolutely devastating floods down in Central Texas. The human cost is just immense. One of the most tragic stories we found was about William Gavanovic Venus. He was 57, an Army veteran, father of four. He was thought to be delivering medicine when he was swept away. They found his body about a quarter mile from his car in Hamilton Creek, and our sources, they really highlight his incredible service. Over 30 years in the Army, served in Desert Storm, earned 3 Bronze Star medals, just incredible. And the scale of this tragedy, it's stark. As of July 8th, 2025, our sources were reporting over 100 people dead across Central Texas, 95 confirmed dead in Kirk County alone, and unbelievably, over 170 individuals still presumed missing. That includes 5 campers and a counselor from Camp Mystic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a truly chilling number.
Yeah, it really is. And what's striking here, beyond the awful human tragedy, is how this flood just exposed these glaring vulnerabilities in our emergency response systems. A key takeaway from the reports we saw is the controversy around the delay in issuing a code red alert. Our sources detail how a volunteer firefighter actually requested this critical alert hours before the flood hit, but it wasn't sent right away because of approval processes. Kirk County Sheriff Larry Letha is now demanding answers, and that really just underlines the systemic challenge, doesn't it?
Right. So we're seeing a direct link between sort of bureaucratic process and potentially devastating outcomes. Wow. That's a significant insight right there.
Absolutely, and if you connect this to the bigger picture, it really ties into broader governmental concerns. President Trump's pick to head NOAA, Neil Jacobs, he actually called these floods a wake-up call. He vowed to upgrade weather forecasting if he's confirmed. He even mentioned that an NOAA weather radio saved his own life back in 1996. So it's personal for him too, it seems. And this whole thing, it also brings up the discussions about climate change and fossil fuels again. Bill Nye, the science guy, commented on CNN about stopping fossil fuel burning to combat increased rainfall intensity and sea level rise. And we are seeing more frequent flash flood warnings across the country, that's for sure. It's important, though, to acknowledge the different perspectives in our sources here. Some argue these weather problems come from years of not taking climate change seriously, not just, say, recent budget cuts.
Yeah, it's a complex issue. It's a stark reminder of our vulnerabilities, definitely, but also just how critical, quick, effective government responses are. Yet, even amidst such devastation, our sources also detail these incredible acts of compassion. In the exact same disaster zone, there's this really heartwarming story of rapid response, but this time focusing on animals. Best Friends Animal Society, they're the country's largest no-kill animal sanctuary. They coordinated with Wings of Rescue and Austin Pets Alive, and they relocated 75 shelter animals all the way to Utah from Central Texas. And the why behind it is so important, right? It was to help the overcrowded Texas shelters make room for all the pets displaced by the floods. The logistics were actually pretty impressive. 125 pets flown first to Fort Worth, 50 went to local groups there, and then the other 75 carried on to Utah, all in these pressurized, temperature-controlled planes. Apparently, Best Friends has a history with this kind of thing. They helped during Hurricane Harvey in 2017, the LA wildfires, too.
Yeah, this really shows how disasters, while they reveal deep human vulnerability, they also spark these incredible acts of, organized compassion. I think the core takeaway here is that when systems maybe falter a bit, community and nonprofit efforts often step right in. It showcases the remarkable ways individuals and organizations prioritize life and care, regardless of species. It really makes you think about the immediate and the long-term impacts and just all the different ways support shows up.
Absolutely. Okay, so shifting from the profound to maybe the more personal, let's navigate into the world of celebrity and the intense public scrutiny they face. We can start with the physical debate that really got social media buzzing, the fake abs allegations against the rapper Big Sean. Right, so our sources show this online debate kicked off by some influencers theory. Steroids, maybe abdominal etching, who knows? But Big Sean responded directly. He said, bro, unfortunately mine are real lol, insisting this is the way God made me. He even joked about looking like a chewed up Tootsie Roll when he's out of shape, which is pretty funny. Our sources also noted the comparison to Drake's viral fake abs rumors from a while back, but Big Sean was clear, like, hey, I'm only speaking for myself here.
You know, the striking thing here isn't just about whether Big Sean's abs are real or not. It's the sheer level of societal pressure on public figures' appearances and the widespread prevalence of cosmetic enhancements in celebrity culture for men and women. It really makes you question the whole idea of authenticity in the public eye, especially when every single physical feature can be scrutinized or, well, even faked.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like that scrutiny extends right into relationships, too. We saw that with the recent viral photos and videos of Janet Jackson and Maxwell. They were holding hands in London, and boom, immediate romance rumors everywhere. But then our sources dug up a contrasting report from TMZ. It stated that Maxwell is reportedly in the friend zone, and Janet's love life is still very private. Apparently, they've just been friends for years. Maxwell apparently raved about her Michael Jackson tribute back in 2009. He supported her 2017 tour after she split from her ex-husband. Our sources even mentioned Maxwell's past comments about wanting kids and marriage, and his rumored past romance with Camila Owes. Oh, and Janet's brief thing with Matthew McConaughey way back. It's all in there.
Right, this whole situation really unpacks the nuances of public intimacy and how misleading celebrity optics can often be. The key insight, I think, is that handholding isn't always romantic, is it? It could be support, a casual gesture, or maybe even just performative for the cameras. Some sources talked about that with Tyler Perry and Taraji P. Henson on red carpets. It challenges us, to look beyond just the surface image and consider other possibilities for what we're actually seeing.
That's such a great point. What you see isn't always the full story, is it? Okay, let's shift now to a fan interaction that, well, definitely went sideways. Our sources describe this scene in an Apple store. A fan walked up and directly asked Megan Good for her number, right in front of her partner, Jonathan Majors. Yeah, and Majors' reaction was pretty direct. He apparently pressed the guy, saying something like, "Won't you go Google something, bro?"
Fucker.
And the context here matters. Our sources note that Majors is reportedly trying to improve his public image after that 2023 misdemeanor assault and harassment conviction. The one that led to him losing roles.
This incident really shines a light on the evolving dynamics between celebrities and fans, especially now with everyone potentially being a content creator or a way. The core takeaway here is that really delicate line between fan interaction and just blatant disrespect, especially when a partner is right there. It makes you consider the different views on when disrespect actually begins. Is it before you're told, "That's my man," or only after? It's tricky. This situation really highlights the boundaries, or lack thereof sometimes, of public interaction in this age of instant virality.
That's a really good question. It really makes you think about personal boundaries when you're always in the public eye. Okay, let's shift focus again. Let's talk about that powerful intersection of digital influence, personal brands, and philanthropy in today's world. And we absolutely have to talk about the meteoric rise of Kai Cenat. He's the 23-year-old American streamer and YouTuber, just huge. I mean, his subscriber count isn't just big, it's record-breaking. He's the second most followed Twitch streamer, 18.1 million followers, and the most subscribed ever. He was the first to get over 500,000 subs during his Mafiathon 2 back in November 2024. He ended up with, get this, 728,535 subscribers. That just reshapes how we think about audience engagement and loyalty in streaming. His cultural impact is massive, too. He's credited with coining viral slang like Riz, that was Oxford Word of the Year 2023, right? And Gayet, which refers to a particularly large postier, apparently, that's gone viral, too. Financially, his influence is undeniable, reportedly earning like $23,280 a month just from sleep streams. #1 on Rolling Stone's most influential creators list in 2024. On Forbes' top creators list, too, $8.5 million in 2024 earnings. And he's crossing over into the mainstream, signed with Nike, the first streamer ever to do that. Partnered with McDonald's for chicken Big Macs, appeared in a Mr. Beast video. And on the philanthropy side, his Mafiathon 2 dedicated 20% of proceeds to build a school in Nigeria, plus his Streamer University event in May 2025, mentoring new creators. Now, for balance, our sources also mention his controversies, like the 2023 Union Square riot incident inciting civil unrest charges, and that Max Major hanging stunt in 2024.
Yeah, what's truly fascinating here is how figures like Kai Cenat are completely redefining what celebrity and even business mean now in the 21st century. The core insight is they're not just entertainers anymore. They're philanthropists. They're entrepreneurs. They are directly shaping youth culture and leveraging that direct connection they have with their audiences in ways we've never really seen before. It's a whole new paradigm of influence and engagement.
Absolutely. And speaking of impact beyond just one field, let's circle back quickly to Big Sean. We talked about the abs thing earlier, but his music career itself has been hugely successful. Multiple albums topping the Billboard 200, Bounce Back was his highest charting song. Our sources also note he sort of distanced himself from Kanye West's good music label, but what's just as compelling is his philanthropic work. Through the Sean Anderson Foundation, which he founded back in 2012, it helps underserved kids and families in Detroit. Specific things like raising $100,000 for the Flint water crisis, launching something called Mogul Prep, donating recording studios, hosting an annual festival called DON Weekend, even creating a mental health video series with his mom. It's quite a lot. Plus, he's got other ventures, too. Endorsement deals with Adidas and Puma. He's even the creative director of innovation for the Detroit Pistons. Busy guy.
This situation clearly shows how artists today are really leveraging their platforms for, well, multifaceted social impact. It goes way beyond just their music or initial craft. I think the key takeaway is that staying relevant and evolving across multiple industries now seems to demand building this whole ecosystem around your personal brand and values. It makes these artists into true entrepreneurs and, in some cases, community leaders, too.
Yeah, that makes sense. And beyond those big names, our sources also flagged a few sort of rapid-fire developments, things that speak to broader trends in sports and entertainment. For instance, the latest on rapper Jello Ball. Apparently, he allegedly filed for divorce from Rashida Nicole, who was pregnant. And this comes up as people are rehashing how he supposedly finessed Def Jam years ago, basically talked them into a $13 million deal for a song that didn't last long.
Right. These stories, even though they're different, they kind of highlight that ongoing mix of personal drama, money, and public image in the entertainment world. It's always there.
Exactly. And then on the sports side, we saw Angel Reese is on the NBA 2K26 WNBA edition cover, rocking new Reebok sneakers. That shows the growing spotlight on women's sports, which is great. Plus, Devin Booker just signed a record-setting $145 million 2-year extension with the Phoenix Suns. That's the highest annual extension salary ever in the NBA.
Wow. Yeah, what those two moments really signal is the rapidly increasing financial power and cultural visibility of top athletes. They're becoming global brands themselves, aren't they? It mirrors the trends we see in other entertainment fields.
Okay, let's shift gears one more time. Now to recent developments in the political sphere, really emphasizing accountability and some perceived challenges within government. Our sources detailed the aftermath of that attempted assassination of then presidential candidate Donald Trump back in July 2024. Remember, his ear was bloodied. And tragically, firefighter Corey Comparator was killed in that incident. Well, an independent Department of Homeland Security review came out, and it found, quote, the Secret Service does not perform at the elite levels and has become bureaucratic, complacent, and static. Pretty damning stuff. The consequences were pretty significant, too. 6 Secret Service agents got suspended anywhere from 10 to 42 days. And the director, Kimberly Cheadle, she resigned just 10 days after the shooting. Our sources also mentioned that second apparent assassination attempt just 9 weeks later, while Trump was golfing down in West Palm Beach, that led to him getting presidential-level security. It's just an alarming sequence of events, really.
It certainly is. I think the core insight emerging from all this is the deeply concerning level of maybe systemic decay within a really critical national security agency. The findings point to serious security vulnerabilities, right? And an agency openly admitting it has profound internal structural problems that directly affect its main job, protecting public figures.
Yeah, it's worrying. And beyond just security failures, our sources also touched on other actions by the Trump administration that have pretty significant implications. Like President Trump plans to impose a 50% tariff on imports from Brazil. And he cited Brazil's treatment of their former president, Jair Bolsonaro, as a reason, called it an international disgrace. Now, that 50% rate is way higher than previous tariffs, and Brazil was, what, the 18th largest source of U.S. goods imports last year, so it's not insignificant. Our sources also report a threat of higher tariffs on 7 other countries, too: Algeria, Brunei, Iraq, Libya, Moldova, Philippines, Sri Lanka, if they don't reach trade deals by August 1st.
Yeah, this situation really illustrates vividly how tariffs are being used more and more, not just as economic tools, but as these potent instruments of, well, geopolitical leverage. The key takeaway seems to be that trade policy is now just completely tangled up with a nation's wider foreign relations and its internal political loyalties, too. It really blurs the lines between commerce and diplomacy.
Definitely. And just briefly, other related government discussions our sources mention include questions about FEMA's future, especially after the Texas floods. Trump has talked about getting rid of the agency before. And Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has this new requirement for her personal approval on all agencies spending over $100,000. Some argue that just creates delays right when you need speed. Our sources also highlight this voluntary exodus of 16 senior FEMA officials. These people collectively had over 200 years of disaster expertise. That's a huge loss of knowledge. And then there's Senator Josh Hawley saying he wants to undo parts of Trump's mega bill, specifically the Medicaid changes, even though he voted for it initially.
Right, if you connect all those dots, these discussions seem to point towards a potentially troubling trend. Maybe an erosion of institutional knowledge and operational efficiency within critical government agencies. I mean, the departure of all those experienced FEMA officials, that could seriously impact future disaster responses. It directly challenges the resilience of our national infrastructure.
Yeah, that really does sound like a dangerous path. Okay, and on a completely different note of accountability, but still relevant to how we assign blame, our sources detail a donkey of the day story. It's about a woman named Trista Lawson, 36 years old. She was charged with multiple offenses, drug charges included, after driving over 100 mph, hitting other cars, and then claiming she heard the voice of God.
Yeah, that anecdote, while it's pretty jarring, it offers this stark kind of personal counterpoint to the broader systemic issues we've been talking about. The critical perspective presented in the source was that this incident is a really vivid example of people blaming external forces, God, the devil, even the drug Perk 40. Instead of just taking personal responsibility for their own choices and actions, it really makes you think about how we frame accountability, both on an individual level and institutionally.
Wow, what a deep dive today, huh? We've covered such a huge range of topics, from, that profound human and animal resilience we saw in disasters to the intense scrutiny public figures have to deal with. We explored the changing landscape of digital influence and that complex interplay of politics and accountability.
Yeah, what's really fascinating when you pull it all together is just how closely intertwined everything is. Global events, personal choices, public personas, they're all linked. The overarching insight, I think, is that critical thinking isn't just like a nice skill to have. It's absolutely essential now for navigating this constant flood of information and truly understanding the world around us.
Exactly. Which leaves us with this thought. In a world where basically every action, public or private, can instantly become content or a headline, what responsibility do we as consumers of all this information have to seek out that deeper context, to actually question what truly lies beneath the surface? It's definitely a lot to think about, isn't it?
Yes, only thing that I'm worried about, punch you one of these pussy ass niggas in they mouth, then they film and they'll upload it. Suckers do anything for that clout. They'll trick you out of your position if you ain't gained up and you ain't here watching out. Internet bloggers, internet gangsters, who the snitches? I can't tell. On the dead homies and enemies podcast, the only podcast that I know won't tell. But I ain't tripping, I just pay attention to my own little business and I get the smell. I'm in another state, making another play. Big plat place on my state. A plush hotel, just counting mail. I do this shit and I do it well.